And basically, they said you can contract away your First Amendment rights of freedom of press. And so, as long as there's some sort of contract in place, you can't whistleblow on what you see or witness, which is contrary to a bunch of other law. That's why it's an unpublished short decision, because they don't want anybody re-reviewing it. They know they're just the law. They're just making up the law at this point.
Now, the one that I thought was very interesting, Robert, I think it comes out of the where was it? United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. Again, that's why I thought it was sounding familiar. The abortion, the whistle. I want to say whistleblower because it sounds like whistleblowing. It sounds like undercover investigative journalism. And I don't understand how the decision got to where it was. It's an older case about
exposing the Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, that's it. But what do they call it? It's pro-life activists. Right. Had set up a booth, set up a shell corporation, got into this conference where Planned Parenthood gives a private conference to however many thousands of attendees, but they make them all sign NDAs, contracts that you're not going to record, you're not going to disclose, you can't share the information. It's almost like going to a Hillary Clinton fundraiser on Wall Street. You can go in, you just can't repeat it ever again, and she sure as hell is not giving you the transcript of her speech. So they sign NDAs. You can't record, you can't share, otherwise diffuse, yada yada. It's an undercover operation. Apparently, they're not journalists. They're not. They're not even.
I mean, they were actually journalists. They just said it doesn't matter.
Okay, all right. So they record. They then publish the videos that they obtained in this sting operation. They incorporated a shell corporation, posed as some agents to say, "We want to go in here and offer our services. Let's see what you have to say." They got an injunction, let's say Planned Parenthood entity, to prevent the dissemination of these undercover recordings, and they won. And then, from what I understand, if I understand the procedural posture, they republished some of the video in order to counter some of the criminal accusations they were facing, and then they were found to be in contempt of court for violating the court order injunction not to publish or otherwise disseminate the videos. And it was upheld by the Ninth Circuit. I screwed everything up.
And basically, they said you can contract away your First Amendment rights of freedom of press. And so, as long as there's some sort of contract in place, you can't whistleblow on what you see or witness, which is contrary to a bunch of other law. That's why it's an unpublished short decision, because they don't want anybody re-reviewing it. They know they're just the law. They're just making up the law at this point. And it's because they're politically prejudiced. I mean, the district court judge who presided over this was crazily prejudiced against them. This was, by the way, the people who uncovered that Planned Parenthood and other related groups were selling baby parts and other things like this. For a long time, the media was allowed to lie about their reports, saying, "Oh, they didn't prove that. That's just fake news." Why? Because a federal judge was preventing them from publishing the evidence that proved it. That's what was going on. So there's Orange County. Other people followed up on that. It is not meaningfully in controversy that abortionists have been involved in the illicit sale of baby parts. And it has been going on for decades. And they wanted to cover it up. Federal courts helped them cover it up by doing prior restraint, which it's not supposed to ever happen. A trial proceeding that was not an impartial proceeding. And by the way, the individual involved, the undercover Project Veritas style reporter who detailed this, very Upton Sinclair going into the heart of the jungle. It turns out the only mistake those big meat factories made was not having Upton Sinclair sign an NDA. If he didn't sign an NDA, you would have never found out what was going on in those factories. Almost every company requires NDAs. This would preclude anybody from ever publishing whistleblower information. It is a ridiculous ruling by the Ninth Circuit, meant because it's politics. If their politics was different, I mean, animal slaughterhouse videos have come out about this kind of stuff all the time. They almost all sign some version of NDAs. No court has said that NDA is enforceable in that context because of the right of the freedom of the press, because of the right of whistleblowing. And so in California has robust whistleblowing defenses. They just won't apply them if you're pro-life. It's the circuit that's only being applied in one direction.
It means you can only go one direction.
They're still trying to put this guy in prison. He faces criminal prosecution in the fall. A trial on his case.
So I brought up two chats. One of them was the meme. Alex Jones was right because he talked about this.
I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murderers, scum. They're on giant death factories keeping babies alive and selling their body parts.
The other one was I saw the footage, and Robert, now I think I'm recalling this. Some of this footage was very late term procedures. Some babies still in the is it called the embryonic sac, I believe?
Yeah.
Like that late development.
It was
and
extremely disturbing video footage.
It was, I forget, chat, who was it that shared it on Twitter? She's an activist in the industry. I forget her name, but someone's going to know faster than me. And for anybody out there who thinks Robert's being hyperbolic that they sell tissue, this was one of my genuine black pill moments. Not just that they sell the tissue. I never even knew there was a market for this, but the market has parabolic curves in terms of pricing, depending on the lateness of the development of the tissue. If I'm speaking in code, shocking stuff out of nightmares. Like, people might know the movie, the Serbian film, and think like that's over the top horror. Reality is worse than man's worst nightmares.
My name is Lila Rose, and I'm president and founder of Live Action. We are the largest educator for the pro-life movement globally. So we reach about several million people every single week with facts about human dignity and arguments for life, encouraging motherhood, fatherhood, as well as exposing the violence of abortion and the abortion industry.
Those were the videos. And the ninth, sir, I didn't know it was unpublished. It was just so preposterous. They said, well, you're a journalist. You purport to be, you're an undercover, whatever. You signed an NDA. Well, that's great. There goes whistleblowing on the government, because you all sign NDAs. There goes whistleblowing on the media. You all sign NDAs, and you sign non-disparagement.
Contrast it to Trump. Trump had everybody sign NDAs. Not a single court would enforce them. Right. So it shows it's just pure politics. The Ninth Circuit playing pure politics with this case, because the individual involved is pro-life, and exposed the abortion industry and the scandals related to it. That shocked and horrified a lot of people. And this is an effort to conspire to corrupt the process, to never have it happen again and then be exposed, and to keep the truth from coming out to the public. And it gives a sense of the weaponization of the court process